Hello, everybody. Stacey and Dave Riska here with you live. Coffee Talk Live. And today we're peeling back the curtain and we're going to be talking about a lot of the doo-doo that can happen when you're catering.
Welcome to Coffee Talk Live, the show where independent coffee, smoothie, juice bar, ice cream, dessert, and snack shop owners come together to talk shop, learn the best business building and marketing ideas, and have lots of fun along the way.
So, Dave, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Stacey. It was 65 degrees today. You want to talk about doo-doo? How about having hot chocolate catering events when it's 65 degrees? Yeah, so it's a little hard to justify serving hot chocolate when it's 65 degrees. But one of the things you'll always deal with anywhere you are is the weather. You know, you never know what you're going to get. So
yeah. Or last week. I mean, we are professional caterers. We know how to go to cups to gallons. But even last week, we had a 3,000 person catering job down on the mall.
Oh, right.
And we get a call.
This is a good one.
Literally at 9 p.m. the night before that President Trump was going to show up at this event. And therefore, the whole National Mall was going into lockdown. And Secret Service was going to be there. And all these things that you don't necessarily plan for. So today, we are going to share the things that we've learned.
Before you go, I want to tell what happened, though. We don't tell you the whole story.
Okay.
So this event was canceled, but this is the thing about catering. They had already paid us for the event. And this was a nice women's organization. They had already paid us, and they said, you know what? We feel so terrible about this. You guys can keep the money. Right?
They did. They said we could keep the money. And here's the thing. We used it to donate to an organization that they have a lot of support for, which is actually a school. So there was a school that reached out to me that wanted to have a hot chocolate and a coffee bar for a daddy-daughter dance. And what happened was I hadn't heard back from them. And then what I found out was it was a budgetary issue. And so they just didn't know if they were going to do it or not. So when this event, when it was already prepaid for, the client's like, can you donate this to somebody who could really use a hot chocolate bar? I was like, ding, ding, ding. Yeah, I know somebody.
Right.
So I connected the two organizations, and they are just the one organization that gets it sponsored for them is thrilled.
Right. Talk about a first. I mean, this is, 14 years of catering, and we've never had anybody say, take the money and donate it to someone else. So it was really an interesting thing. So I thought that was a good way to start off our show today on the goof ups that we had in our catering lives. So
the theme of today's talk, Coffee Talk Live, is the two words that you never want to say when you're catering. You know what those two words are, Dave?
Who knows?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. The two words you never want to say. And we've had to say uh-oh a few times growing our business from cups to gallons. We're going to peel back the curtain and share those with you today. As we were thinking about them, there was quite a few, so we're not going to get through them all. Here's the thing, guys. We didn't grow up saying we were going to be caterers. We opened our business as a brick and mortar. We didn't know anything about catering, but we did figure it all out so you can learn from the mistakes that we made, and you will go from cups to gallons a lot faster.
Sounds good to me. So
all right. So I'm gonna pick one of these.
All right. So we're just winging this, okay? Again, these are just mistakes that we've...
All right. So my mistake... Oh, yes. Okay. This mistake is when we were doing a coffee catering job. And we have mobile espresso equipment and a mobile espresso machine. Pretty heavy, actually. And we would put it on a rolling cart to bring it into the client's location. So here's the thing, though. Sometimes you may have those cracks in the sidewalk. Sometimes you may be on the dirt or the grass. And sometimes your staff person overloads the hand cart thinking I'll do it in one trip instead of two. And what happened was the espresso machine fell off so hard that it got dented and broke. This was a $3,000 mobile espresso machine. So I was not happy when the employee came back and it had a big dent in it and we basically had to rebuild it. Uh-oh. Now, there was a positive lesson learned from that. We learned that we can no longer just put the equipment on the hand cart. And I actually commend Dave because Dave came up with a really great solution. You want to talk about that?
Sure. So after this happened, I was like, we can't have this again. I mean, this piece of equipment, it got through the job that we had that day, but it just looked terrible. It was bent. I mean, it had crinkles in it. I mean, it was just, I was embarrassed. And I said, we just can't, we can't do this again. This is going to happen again. All right. And so what we did was I did some research and I was like, well, how big is this? How heavy is this? And what can we pack it in that is going to allow it to get to a job and not get broken? So I found, and I'll tell you what, I can't show it here, but if you watch the rerun of this video, I'll actually take a picture of what we found. We found it was a rolling
speaker.
It was a rolling packaging for transporting speakers to an event. Like, so if you were doing an event out somewhere, you would put your speakers in this. That's like a hard plastic thing on wheels that it just so happened that our portable espresso makers fit exactly perfectly in these. So not only does it have wheels, it has a handle on it. You can put it on a rolling cart if you want to, or you can roll it separately. So it worked perfectly. A complete accident caused us to, think outside the box and find something to pack our stuff in that would make, the chances of losing a $3,000 espresso maker because it fell off the cart, it would make that so that would be a very limited chance. So that ended up being a good result on accident, of something that we just didn't plan for. And this stuff is going to happen.
All right, Dave, you're up.
Oh, boy. All right. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, I got 3 of them. So.
And feel free to chime in. Have you guys ever made mistakes in your store or catering? We want you to be active and engaged. Comment, like, share.
Yeah, we'd
love
to hear any stories.
We don't want to have all the bad stories here.
We want you to learn from our stories, okay? That's the important thing, is that nobody's perfect, and certainly catering is not a perfect business, and things are going to happen. And you just got to deal with them. And that's the way that it is. Okay, so this was, wow. Thanks. All right, so you can tell we've had a few of these. It was the 3rd of July, and we had a huge event on the 4th of July where we had to have literally 2 of our large tiki bars at a 4th of July celebration to serve daiquiris and smoothies to thousands of people that they had paid for, all right? And so we literally packed these things up. These particular bars weigh 600, 700 pounds. I mean, think about the weight of this. After I tell you this story, you won't believe it. And we pack them up and we bring them down there because we have to set them up the day before. You have to have everything ready for the event the day before, so you people can just show up and start serving, because people are going to be there first thing in the morning, wanting to get smoothies and coffees and drinks. So it's the 3rd of July. We bring these down there, and I noticed it was really hot that day. I mean, it was 103 degrees, way hotter than, we're used to here in Washington, D.C., and super, super humid at the same time. And I was like, wow. This would be the perfect weather for a really, really bad thunderstorm, right? I'm thinking, oh boy. Well, anyway, we get all of our stuff down there. It's packed, it's out, and we're thinking, okay, great. We're going to show up the next day and, have a great event. Well, that night we had something called a derecho. Now, I don't know if you know what a derecho is, but I got to tell you, I'd never heard of it in my life. I had no idea what this was, but at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, you could hear the wind howling, and it must have been 80, 90 mile an hour winds. And it was just not stop. It's not even like a hurricane where it was gusts. It was just roaring it sounded literally like a tornado or a freight train. And so I run out to the window and I look out the window and it's raining sideways, and literally there's pieces of trees flying down the street. And I'm like, oh my God, this is really, really bad. And turned out it was a derecho. I'm not going to say what necessarily a derecho is, but it was a big storm with a lot of wind that went on for like an hour straight, where it was just gusting. It wasn't even gust. It was just a straight wind for like an hour. So anyway, it's 2:00 in the morning. We know we got to be out there ready to go 7:00 in the morning. And we get up in the morning and you won't believe it. There are trees down absolutely everywhere. I mean, it was like
couldn't get out of the neighborhood. Seriously.
We couldn't even get out of our neighborhood because there were so many trees down in the street, first thing in the morning. So we're like, okay, great. What do we do here? Finally, the people came with the chainsaws and they cut the street, and we were able to we're driving over people's yards, and we're to get out of the neighborhood, to get out to the main streets, to get down to see if we're still going to have our event. We don't even really know. Okay. So we're driving, it's, probably 30 miles from our house, and we get there, and it was unbelievable to see what was set up the day before was completely wrong. They had those huge circus tents set up, cement block down. You couldn't have tied those things down. They're gone. They're literally gone. So we finally start looking for our bars, which we had set up and we had put underneath tents and stuff like that. And so we go looking and we find one of our bars literally at the end of this pier up against the side rail. And this is a 600-pound bar with a big metal heavy top on it. And the top is snapped off. It's just completely snapped off the top of it. The other one was bent really bad. It had literally pushed from where it was. It went straight into the side of our trailer and put a huge gap in the side of the trailer that we brought it in. And so here we are. We're at this event, and we got people coming. They haven't canceled this thing yet. There's no power.
Right. No power.
All the tents from the event are in the water. I mean, this was at literally not right next to water. I don't even know where our tents went. They're probably at the bottom of the Potomac River somewhere. And we got a tiki bar and a half to work with. And so we had to do what we had to do. We made it work. We literally set up a tiki bar at the end of the pier, no top on the tiki bar, and just served drinks right from it. I mean, we had no choice. So, the point being is that, it's funny now. It really wasn't so funny when it happened, but these things happen. This was just an accident that happened, and there's nothing you can do about it. I thought for sure they would cancel the event. They didn't, and people showed up, and we had a great time and made the best of it. So.
Yeah, and not only was it that one event, but July 4th and that whole week is like one of our busiest weeks of the year, as you might imagine, in Washington, D.C. Right. And we used to do a lot of swim meets, and we were completely booked with swim meets. Well, all the swim meets were canceled because the pools, having no power, couldn't let anybody have a swim meet at the pool. Everything was canceled. July 4th for our selling events. Canceled. Everything was canceled except this one big catering gig, and we just had to figure it out, which we did. And everyone tipped very nicely because
they were so gracious. I think they play. It was like if they were paying for the smoothies, they would have paid 5 times the amount that they would have normally paid in tips, just because they were so appreciative that we were there and we actually made it work. Our one tiki bar is like sideways like this, and the other one I'm just standing out in the sun getting roasted because we don't even have a top on it. So we made it work.
We did. And there was a really good lesson learned from that. And that is the word insurance. We had business insurance.
Yeah, this was really
important. And so the insurance, we called our insurance company. They came out the next day and cut us a check because we had big damage to our trailer. We lost all of our smoothie mix because it took 7 days for the power to come back on. So the smoothie mix went bad. We lost the revenue from all of those jobs, but because we had the right business insurance in place, we were reimbursed for all of
They
it.
did. They bought. Well, they had to fix the one
tiki
tiki.
bar.
They fixed the one. They paid to fix the one tiki bar, and the other tiki bar they gave us full replacement value for because it was completely destroyed.
Yep.
So without insurance, we would have been up the river.
The
I
Potomac.
was going to say up the creek, but we'll say up the river, pun intended.
All right.
All right.
All right. So how are you guys doing? Leave us some comments. Share if you've had anything. I'm gonna share one more. All right. Let's see. We've got gallons of them here. All right. One more. Oh boy. Yes. Have you ever, if you have a child, you might relate to this. You dread getting that call in the middle of the night when you know that your child should be home safely in bed. Well, this is what happened in our catering business. We had an employee out, and it wasn't the middle of the night. It was about 8 o'clock in the evening, coming back from a chocolate fountain catering job. Just a normal day. All of a sudden...
And the weather wasn't even bad.
Yeah, it was just a normal day.
Yeah.
I happen to have my phone next to me, and the phone rings. And this employee, never calls me, and I kind of knew, he should be on the road at this time. And my gut just kind of said, uh-oh. So I answered the phone. He's like, Stacey, I was just in an accident, and your heart drops. So my first thing I said was, are you okay? And he's like, I think so. I was like, where are you? Well, he was on the Beltway. He got run off the road into the median where when you're leaving an exit and there's the V, and he went straight head on into the guardrail. Literally, and we had a minivan. It was obliterated. Every airbag in that van exploded. He is lucky to have walked out of that alive.
And he did.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. But wow. And so you just kind of know that things are going to happen when you cater.
There's more to that story, all right? The more to that story was that we bought that van 3 months before.
Right. Yeah.
This was almost a brand new van.
That's true.
Yeah.
We had just bought it 3 months previously and brand new because we figured, we're going to have this van forever. And it was literally totaled. So, when a vehicle is totaled, you never get your full market value. So we had to fight with the insurance company. We had to go out and get a vehicle immediately because we had more catering jobs to do. And so that was a big lesson learned about insurance as well. Make sure your vehicles, your employees are all covered. The other thing with driving around is that you got to prepare for traffic because, especially here in the Washington, D.C. area, you want to give your employee enough time to get there early. You don't want them stressed out that they're rushing, they're driving 100 miles an hour just to get to a job on time. You don't want to be the cause of an accident. Luckily, in this case, my employee was not at fault. But that's really,
it can happen to anybody. And I think that, the big takeaway, Stacey said, and one of the things I would, highly suggest is if you're sending people out to jobs, our rule is we try to get them the amount of time to set up plus 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. So they get an extra 45-minute gap to deal with, which plan traffic time too. So we plan the traffic time, we plan the setup time, and then an extra 45 minutes of fudge time because you do not want them to be crazily driving, trying to get to a job for many reasons, and other reasons are that, when you do catering, you unload, and a lot of times you can't park your vehicle where you're unloading it. Mm-hmm. So you got to give yourself time to go find a place to park after you've done the job. So there's many lessons learned here. One, again, these things happen. All right. It was, we had to drive down there I think we got there at 9:30. We had to unpack what was in the van, throw it in our other vehicle, get the employee, make sure, he wouldn't go to the hospital. So we had to bring him back, and be talking with him about everything that happened. But the big thing was the insurance, and it was not his fault. And these things happen, and you just got to be, understand that, in any business, there's just things that are going to get thrown your way that you have to deal with.
Yeah, I have a great quote here, I think, that summarizes,
okay.
Right? Mistakes have the power to turn you into something better than you were before. Right?
Oh, sure.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's an important statement. Mistakes have the power to turn you into something better than you were before. Because let's face it, Dave and I, we had big mistakes, like $500,000 mistakes. We got into a lot of debt. And those two words, uh-oh. But you know what? We could have thrown in the towel. We could have given it all up. But we started going from cups to gallons. We started getting into catering. And it was a big game changer. And that's why we are so passionate about helping you learn how to cater your way to success.
Right.
So Dave, let's kind of close out today with maybe some lessons that we've learned and some takeaways that people can use, because hopefully, you may have come with some tissues, but we want you to leave with a notepad of notes and key takeaways. First of all, you should definitely make sure you have a copy of our book, Cups to Gallons. You can grab your copy for free at cupstogallons.com/book. In here, we didn't have the paper space to lay out every single mistake that we've made, but what we did do is succinctly put it together into a system, the Cater system, 5 simple steps that you can use to go from cups to gallons. So let's see. I would say, Dave, that one lesson I learned is when you make a mistake, you got to get up and keep going. Whether it's your brick and mortar location, whether it's catering, you are an entrepreneur. You're going to make mistakes. And sometimes you just got to wipe the tears away, put on your big boy panties and get up, learn from it. Just don't make the same mistake twice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what, when the espresso machine fell and broke and basically had to be rebuilt, we didn't make that mistake again. We learned from it and we put things in place so it wouldn't happen again. And that really follows the T in the Cater system, having tools and templates so that you don't make the same mistakes again.
All right. So mine is, there's no such thing as perfection. I mean, there just isn't. And you just have to realize that stuff is going to happen. And many of you probably do know that stuff happens even in your stores. Well, with catering, it's the same thing. You can try to plan for everything. You can have a great system in place, but stuff is going to happen. As Stacey said, and I don't remember the quote, but when you fall down in the dirt, you dust yourself off, you get back up and you keep moving. And that's really, the best way you can handle it, and try not to make the same mistake more than once.
Definitely do. Yeah. And let's see, we have a few notes. Definitely protecting your business. We alluded to this before. It's really important that you have the right systems in place, which includes insurance. And in the book, Cups to Gallons, we lay out the different types of insurance that you need. You want to make sure that your business is protected. You want to make sure that your vehicles are protected. You want to make sure your employees are protected. And if you're going out and doing catering, and especially if you're serving alcohol, luckily we haven't had any moments with alcohol, but we've heard of other people who have. You need to make sure that you have a rider on your insurance policy that covers you for alcohol and liquor liability.
And I'd add to that there's something called being tip certified here, at least in the DC area, that if there's any, legal requirements for training for anybody serving alcohol, you want to make sure that they've been through that training before you put them out in the field.
Absolutely.
Right?
All right, Dave, I think we covered a lot of the uh-oh moments you want to be aware of in going from cups to gallons. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm going to check over here right quick and see if we do have any questions. Chris, I see you got your book. Awesome, awesome. Cool quote. You got your book, and we have a lot of people on here, so sorry for not naming everybody specifically. But we are so glad when you tune in every Monday. We go live every Monday here with you at 7 p.m. Eastern for Coffee Talk Live. So mark it on your calendar. We'll be here again next Monday. We're Stacey and Dave Riska, your Cups to Gallons champions, here to help you cater your way to success by going
from cups
to gallons. Bye, everybody.
Have a good one.
Attention coffee, smoothie, juice bar, ice cream, dessert, and snack shop owners. Are you sick of selling one cup at a time? It's time to learn how a 5-letter word can transform your business so you can go from cups to gallons. Come join the free Cups to Gallons Facebook group so you can learn to cater your way to success and go from cups to gallons. Join us at cupstogallons.com/group. That's cupstogallons.com/group.